CEO and co-founder of Apple. When Jobs was on that stage in 2010, introducing the first iPad, he described the device as miraculous. He said it is one of the best ways to consume all sorts of different experiences such as educational, social, entertaining, etc. He also suggested that it should be used by every one of us, and it should be used quite often by students especially. Few months later, a journalist named Nick Bilton from New York Times interviewed Jobs. And as part of their conversation, Nick asked Jobs, "So your kids must love the iPad." To that, Jobs' response was really surprising. He said, "They haven't used one. We limit the amount of technology our kids use at home." It's just not Steve Jobs, but a number of tech tycoons nowadays are very cautious about the amount of time they spend on different technology. Social media. Social media turned into something that follows us everywhere. If we look at the statistics, 8 out of 10 people nowadays are social media users, which is 10 points higher than the previous year. And if we look at the usage by age, 99% in the age group 18 to 29 are social media users, followed by 96% in the age group 30 to 39. So where are they using social media? Most of them at their homes, 59% in bedroom, 43% in public transport, and 35% at work. This chart below was a little surprising to me when I learned that 28% of them use social media in bathrooms. So social media turned into something that follows us even in our bathrooms. Right? So this is an interesting picture that shows how technology has evolved and how it is affecting our relationships. Is social media trying to impact our self-identity? The like and share button in Facebook, Instagram, and the retweet button in Twitter is starting to impact how we portray ourselves and ultimately the way we live. We upload some picture and constantly after a few seconds we track the number of likes and shares we receive. An extreme example is probably the case of a teenager who is 19-year-old. His name is Danny Bowman. He is a selfie-obsessed teenager. Imagine he did not leave his house for 6 months just to capture that right selfie. He had spent 10 hours a day clicking 200 selfies. Eventually, when his effort to click that right selfie failed, he became so depressed and tried to kill himself. He was later rehabilitated and he was recovered through a treatment in London. There is a feature in iPhone which is called screen time, which tells you the amount of time you have spent accessing different applications on your phone. For example, it says I have used the phone for 3 hours 42 minutes on that day. And it also tells you the number of times I have picked my phone, which is 87 times that day. And the number of notifications I received, which is 337. So the point is, social media is turning into something that which is impacting our lives totally. Using that app, a research was conducted, and based on the research was conducted to calculate the amount of time the students are using the social media, which came up to 4 hours a day. And in case of high school students, the number is even more higher, which is 6 to 8 hours. And sometimes 8 to 10 hours a day. And if we actually do a cumulative and add all this time, it is going to be 10 to 15 years of our lifetimes. So why are we spending so much of time on technology and social media? 75% of the adults do not have to move their feet in order to reach their phones 24 hours a day. Our phones are very close to us. That means we sleep with our phones right next to our beds, like in this picture. And if possible, our phones are under the pillow so that it's easily accessible. The biggest thing that changed in 21st century are stopping cues. Say you're reading a newspaper. Even if you read every single word in the newspaper, you reach the end of the newspaper. Say you decided to read an article. At the end of the article, you make a judgment whether you want to continue reading or stop, which are called natural breaks and stopping cues. But what is happening with Netflix and YouTube? As one episode ends, the next episode is automatically queued. So you just get that 15 seconds to decide whether you want to continue or whether you want to stop. And this new concept is called binge watching. And binge watching is known to increase the risk of many health problems such as obesity, cancer, diabetes, and heart diseases. I'm not saying you have to eradicate technology completely. There are many good reasons to use technology. We use technology and social media for work, to connect with people, to travel, and to live. Maybe you can start with small changes in your life, such as pick a time in a day, maybe from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Spend the time in nature. Do not use your phone. Or try to meet different people, have that social interaction, that face-to-face interaction. Or have a simple rule, like a tech-free dinner. Do not use your phone when you are having your dinner. I'm sure the small changes in your life will create a positive impact. Finally, I would like to conclude by suggesting you all to work on minimizing your social media presence because real life is much more beautiful. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and especially Sruthi. Incredible, delightful speech. Just when I saw the title, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna touch this. Yeah, we need it. We need it because it's really meaningful to us. We felt that all of us are related with that topic, social media. Even if it's your or your son, your daughter, your cousin, whatever. You're awesome doing one special thing, and it's using the virtual assistants, your support, your slides. It's incredible the way that you always support with that, even when it's an advanced skill. It's really important because there are a lot of facts, a lot of numbers, a lot of percentages that you need to focus there. And it's hard to remember all of them, and it's clear to us watching them in the moment that you are saying that. Great for that. Like I said, starting with facts. 18 to 25, 90% at home, in the family, in the working station. It's really, really clear, and you picture your research. The way that you show to us your knowledge, it's incredible. And thank you for sharing that knowledge with us, because today we learned something new that is useful for our lives. Confident with the numbers. We see that you really prepare your speech. And it's humorous. We related with Netflix, we related with YouTube, we related using the phone in the bathroom. We use it, or at least I use it. There are some things that you can improve. For example, the title was great, but the introduction, you can use it to engage with the people before you start. It's not only about, oh, I'm going to talk about this because I want to talk about this. No, you can say some facts, maybe, oh, 90% of the people have problems, emotional problems with social media. That will help to introduce your speech. The vocal variety and pauses. As we thought, it's important, especially in this kind of research speech. Why? It's different if I say, is social media impacting our identity? Rather than I say, is social media impacting our identities? It makes a difference. Because now, it's not only a fact, it's like a rhetoric question. And that makes you engage with more people. that's super important in this kind of research speech, because when you have a lot of information, you have to give us like a little bit of time to digest that information. Because numbers, maybe some question to stop, maybe some kind of pause, humor that you use. Very good. Overall, was a great speech. I really love it, and I'm so proud of look your growth, even if I just started, but thank you so much for that.
Sruthi, you did an amazing job. And research can be very boring, I can tell you. I usually fall asleep sometimes. I did not have once during your speech. Very engaging, creative use of the PowerPoint and all that. I really enjoyed your speech. You did an excellent job. Over.